Shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone, and this video is a book report of a very interesting volume that has lots of fun and informative stuff for shooters even today, even though this was done in 1972. But there is a political message at the end of this video, so I'd like to warn you about that now in case you're not that oriented toward that. Written and compiled by some real fine, big-name gun writers. Dean Grinnell, Mason Williams. And the title of this is Law Enforcement Handgun Digest, a guide to the selection and use of all police weapons. Back in 1972, this volume cost $5.95, but that was a lot of money back then. This is a great book because it begins with principles of marksmanship, and then it goes into revolvers and automatic pistols of the day, auto pistols in law enforcement. So you have Colts, you have Brownings, the high power, high capacity, you have Smith & Wesson. So back in those days, SIG was just barely beginning. There was no Glock, no Springfield Armory. A lot of modern pistols weren't made back then. Revolvers ruled, but there were all kinds of police weapons, including beanbag shooters and die markers and all that kind of thing. Talks about penetration, the action of bullets, holsters. There's our friend Bill Jordan. A great book for anyone's library, even though the material is not up to date because today's law enforcement is with semi-automatic pistols, notably with Glocks and other types of polymer pistols, but the information here is still very informative and fun to read. However, there's a hidden message here, and that message is, you know that whatever the police and the military are using, that's what the civilian shooters want. We want to have the same guns that the police and the military use. Of course, we can't go with full automatic, but we still want the same format of guns, the same caliber of guns. Now, why is this important? This is important because there are countries, even in Mexico, south of our borders, that do not allow calibers used by the military and police to be owned by private citizens. Private citizens cannot own the calibers that the military and police use. Now, most shooters know that the laws on guns are very restrictive in Mexico, but what they don't know is that the Mexican Constitution has Article 10 that provides for the right of bearing and keeping arms by citizens. Article 10 of their Constitution, very similar to our Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment is in 10 Bill of Rights. Well, Article 10 gives the Mexican citizens the right to keep and bear arms. However, in the years that followed, they actually revised and reformed that article to the present restrictive gun laws that they have. Notably, in 1971 was the year that they revised Article 10 to the point that ownership of calibers of the military and police are forbidden by the population. Now, the same kind of tactics to revise the Second Amendment could possibly be happening here. And in fact, they're trying to add laws to modify that all the time, to control and have gun control. Ultimately, they would like to be able to get to the point where they can revise or reform the Second Amendment also, so that the Second Amendment reads the same, but then all these provisions underneath it change it completely. Now, this is important because the year 2016 coming up happens to be divisible by 4. Which means it is a presidential election year, and there are candidates right now that are getting in line, getting in position for the run for the presidency in 2016. And some of those candidates are really anti-gun rights. So if you don't think that it's important to throw your hat in the ring, you just might consider going ahead and becoming a member of our best organization to protect the Second Amendment rights there is. Even if it's for a year or two. Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from Hot Lead Zone. See you next video. Sorry for a political message here.